going on, everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You know who it is. You know it's your guy Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by My Song Day Rock 2000 today. Today is Tuesday, December 17th. You guys, hope you guys are having a fantastic day. As I'm recording this, if you hear some like acoustic guitar slowly in the background, that is my roommate. He's got a Christmas concert that he's working on. Today's his big practice day, and he's gonna be practicing while we're shooting the podcast. So if you hear little like Christmas acoustic guitar sounds, that's just coming from him, so you're not hearing anything else. We're brought to you by My Song Day Rock 2000 to today, the best rock community on the internet. And I've got some good stuff to talk about with you guys today, but before we start, let me go into the shameless plugs. Now, again, if we had any advertising up to this point, this is where it would be placed. However, we don't at the moment. Still working on that vigorously. So we're just going to say all the My Song of the Day stuff. You guys got to follow it. So links are in the description below for everything. So follow us on our social media pages like Facebook. You're going to find out everything that comes out, whether it's the Song of the Day choice, YouTube videos, podcasts, whatever. Follow us on Twitter as well, because that's where you guys get to really talk to us, but I know we haven't used that fully as a talking platform. But if you guys want to talk to us, we're on Twitter as well. But the big one so far for us has been Instagram. So we ask you guys a lot of questions. We post a lot of different things on there between, what's your favorite album from a certain band. We do our IGTV videos, which you can watch, which is a behind-the-scenes look every single Tuesday at kind of what's going on with us. And I did one where I talked about the year-end awards nominees going out there and seeing what people were going to say about them and giving you guys a little bit of a behind-the-scenes context of what happened that whole entire night as I released them and all the comments you were getting and how that was handled. You can also join our Instagram live streams every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. That's an hour-long thing where you can come and talk to us and just have a good time. As a note, because Christmas is on a Wednesday this year, yes, I will be doing a Christmas one. So you guys can come live Christmas, 9 p.m. Central at night. We can have a good time on Christmas. We also pose a couple other questions like, which band do you prefer? What do you want? We got what concerts are you seeing? We ask you all these different kind of questions. We also post the Song of the Day clip, 30 seconds each on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so you guys can get a taste of the music before listening to it fully on something else that we have, which I will talk about in a little bit. But Instagram is probably our favorite platform at the moment, and you can also follow us on TikTok as well. We just do some fun videos, but we haven't done something on there in a while because we've been focused a lot on the year-end stuff and trying to get ad revenue and sponsorships. So that's kind of been a backlog. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because you can watch the podcast, the video on YouTube as well, so you can hear me talk about it. You kind of see some of the stuff that's going on there if you like to as well. Very similar to what Joe Rogan does. However, I do it all myself, so I know I'm not at the quality or the size that he is, but you got to do what you got to do. On our YouTube channel, we also do a bunch of different things as well, such as album reviews, full-on band reviews. We take questions and we kind of answer them, such as, why do people hate Black Veil Bride so much? Why do people like Black Veil Bride so much? Why did Bring Me the Horizon go so poppy on Amo? And also, whatever happened to pop punk? We go into stuff like that all the time on our YouTube channel. Videos are released every single Wednesday night, and sometimes some Monday ones. The podcast videos always come out on Tuesday, so be sure to subscribe to that. When it comes to the podcast, you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play for the straight audio, but if you want to add the video in there as well, we got it on YouTube for you as well. And last but not least, subscribe to our Amazon Alexa skill, because on there you can hear the whole entire Song of the Day selection. And, well, it's a great way to, start the day. Alexa, stop. Well, it looks like Alexa wanted to get a little bit in there as well, so that's actually kind of funny. In the end, what you can do for that is you can use the skill to listen to the Song of the Day fully, start the day, end the day, rediscover old bands, discover new bands, and especially on Saturday when we do Small Band Saturday, you can discover these smaller bands that are trying to make it big, and you can get in on them before they make it huge. So we featured some great ones on there that we're really working closely with at the moment to try and help them into more stardom, I should say. And we talked with them on the podcast before, and you can take a look at what we've done with Kingdom Collapse and Jonathan Norris on our first full live interview that we've done. And I've got another special one like that coming up the day before Christmas Eve. So Monday the 23rd, be sure to mark your calendars for that one, because the Chord Progression podcast, oh my Lord, we have a fun one coming up for you guys. So looking forward to that as well. But enough with that. Let's get on to the show. And first thing I want to talk about is I got to talk more music festival, guys. And you guys have heard me talk about the Danny Wimmer Presents festivals. And we've talked about how I'm not a big fan of what they did with Metallica, where, yes, I do like the fact that Metallica is headlining, but I don't like the fact that Metallica is headlining 2 nights. I've beaten that horse to death. I made a video about it. I've talked about it on multiple podcasts. But when Epicenter's lineup came out and I actually saw what it was like, I believe they came out with Welcome to Rockville as well and Sonic Temples. I looked at it and I looked at the supporting cast and I thought, okay, this is definitely something where I was hoping that they would prove me wrong, and so far with the supporting cast they have. They did it on Epicenter, they did it with Sonic Temple, they did it to Welcome to Rockville as well. Louder Than Life and Aftershock are the 2 that are left, but those are coming up later in 2020, end of September, early October. These 3, Epicenter, Aftershock and Louder Than Life are in September and October. Epicenter, Sonic Temple, Welcome to Rockville are in May. So we have seen the full lineup for Sonic Temple, but the one thing that finally came out was the 3-day listing of who's playing on what day. And of course, I looked at it and I thought, okay, let's take a look and see who's playing when, and if I feel, compelled to potentially head out to Columbus, Ohio for that weekend and just maybe see 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, we'll see what happens. So I took a look at it, and in my opinion, Sunday is definitely, in my mind, the weakest of the days. So Sunday, you get that second Metallica show. The next big names are Deftones, The Pretty Reckless, Rancid, and Dropkick Murphys. I have seen the Dropkick Murphys partially live before. I only saw a little bit of their set. This was back at Summerfest in Milwaukee in 2011. This is before Dropkick Murphys said they would not play in Wisconsin until Governor Scott Walker was removed from office, or voted out of office. He was voted out at the end of 2018, so I'm still hoping the Dropkicks come back to Milwaukee at some point. Pop Evil's also going to be there, Suicidal Tendencies, Dance Gavin Dance, and Code Orange. Otherwise, I took a look at the bands lower below, and I thought Sunday is definitely the weakest in my opinion. And a lot of the reason why I think I would say on Sunday if I was there is because I would want to see that second Metallica show just to make sure I saw it. But then I thought, you know what? I totally understand. That's okay. No big deal. Let's take a look at the Friday, because Friday is probably the day that I think is middle of the road. Again, you get the first Metallica show, which I thought, okay. Then you get Bring Me the Horizon with, yes, I know I've been lambasting them over Amo, and I can't stand that album. And I've heard people see them live recently, especially here in Milwaukee as well, when they saw it played here, I believe in May. My buddy saw them in Minneapolis in February of 2019 and said they focused a lot more on what was going on in Amo, and they played only like a 5-minute little mashup of all their older stuff. So I thought, oh no. However, they did come out that song Ludens, where yes, it does have electronic and EDM points to it, which I'm not a big fan of, but they do mix more of that old metalcore style in there, so I can see it's still there and I can see the band still has that there. Royal Blood and Sublime with Rome are on there. I always hear Sublime with Rome. They're always at Summerfest. And Royal Blood, I'm really not sure who Royal Blood is at this moment. Taking a look at Friday, you got also with Flashfoot Zombies, Anthrax, again, another big thrash metal band, perfect with Metallica, Ghostmain, and Hell Yeah. So that's actually not too bad going underneath. You got Sleeping with Sirens, and I do like Sleeping with Sirens. I do hope to be able to see them at some point this year. Testament, Power Trip, Dirty Honey, and in that last row, see Ginger is on there. So when it comes to Friday, there's a good number of bands I would want to see. Ginger, I'm going to have a chance to see in Milwaukee if I want to go. I have seen part of an Anthrax show when they played at Riot Fest in 2019 because they were on the stage that Slayer was going to be on to headline the whole entire thing, but I was waiting on the stage next to him because while Anthrax was playing on that stage, the one next to him was preparing for Rise Against, and you guys know I'm not missing that Rise Against show. I was going to be as close as possible and in the pit as much as possible, so I was going to have fun there. I do want to see Sleep with Sirens, and I wouldn't mind seeing Bring Me the Horizon to see kind of what they would pull out, especially, hopefully they pull out something harder, but then again, we would see what happens. Now, where I have to completely applaud Sonic Temple and where I want to go see this is Saturday is an absolute smoke show of a lineup, where the only problem I have with this is there are so many good acts that I don't know what I would do. I'm trying to see all of them. So this is the one, of course, you got the different headliner, and you got Slipknot as your headliner, which you look at it and think, you know what, that's fine. Because, you know, Slipknot's going to bring in a gigantic crowd. And then you take a look at the 4 bands that are considered the other, like, top bands on the next list. You've got Evanescence, who I have seen before, and I would love to see them again under different conditions, because when I saw them live, you guys have probably heard the story, it was super hot that day, super humid. I was at a concert hall where there was no AC, so it was just, you were sweating all over the place. Of Mice and Men canceled, and they were the opener for Evanescence, so Evanescence came out, and I have to give a lot of credit to Amy Lee, because Amy Lee put on like an hour and a half, hour 40-minute set with Evanescence, and she just went all out for us, even with, though she was sweating balls, just exhausted. I have to give her a whole lot of credit for that one. Stained is also on there. I think I do want to go see Stained at some point. Cypress Hill and Alter Bridge. And my God, I get to see Alter Bridge this year in February, and I can't wait to go and see them live. You know, you get Miles Kennedy, Mark Tremonti. I have seen Tremonti live before as well, but I want to see Alter Bridge, especially after Walk the Sky, which, ooh, that was a good album. Yeah, it's on my top 10 of the year list, and you'll see where it lands. Well, who knows where it lands. Taking a look underneath, you got Pennywise. I have seen Pennywise before, and you guys know I like punk rock, but in this, like, so you got Slipknot, you got your first tier underneath, the second tier underneath. Oh my God, Ice Nine Kills. You guys have heard me talk a lot about Ice Nine Kills over the past, like, month and a half, and I would definitely make sure I got to go see Ice Nine Kills. Knocked Loose in the Darkness are also on there. Then you dip below, you get Saint Asonia and Fire from the Gods. If I was to go to this, I mean, I'm just taking a look at this. I want to make sure I can see Saint Asonia, Ice Nine Kills, and then probably go with Stained and Slipknot and just try and figure out how to work with that, just to see who's on at what time. But my God, I mean, taking a look at the lineup on Saturday, the lineup on Saturday is absolutely packed with sheer gold. So I'm not as impressed with Sonic Temple as I was with Epicenter, because I thought Epicenter had a bunch more band, like they had the same amount of bands that were equally great, but they had them spaced out in a better light that I would much more, you know, appreciate. However, again, one thing you guys have to remember with these music festivals is these bands are on tour at the time. Like I know Ice Nine Kills at the time is on tour with I Prevail. They're on tour with Papa Roach and Five Finger Death Punch at that point. So they've got a very limited amount of like what day they could potentially go on, but I'm glad they're going to be there. I know that Five Finger Death Punch is going to be playing that their show in Chicago on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday or something. No, I think it's a Wednesday on the 20th of May. And the only reason I want to go to that one is honestly for actually 2 reasons. One, I do have to see Five Finger Death Punch live at one point. I have seen Papa Roach. I have seen I Prevail. And I really am like, okay, you know, I go see, but I really want to go see Ice Nine Kills open in a stadium, and not in a arena setting, because I just absolutely am enjoying Ice Nine Kills' music as time has gone on. I mean, this year has made me a huge Ice Nine Kills fan. So overall, when it comes to Sonic Temple, I do like the supporting cast they have there. They absolutely pack Saturday to the brim with a bunch of great acts. Friday and Sunday, I'm not the biggest on. However, again, I got to always put that tidbit in there. A lot of these bands are on tour at that point, so you can't just willy-nilly put them wherever you so feel like. So that's what we got going on there. So as this podcast airs on Tuesday the 17th, on Friday the 20th, I will be going to my last show of 2020 as it stands right now in Chicago, Illinois, to see a band I've seen once before this year. And I had a whole lot of fun seeing them, and they've given me what I call the shirt of doom. So I get to go see Anti-Flag on December 20th, and I'm excited for that one because you guys know me. You guys have heard me talk about it. I am a big punk rock fan. I really like punk rock. That's kind of what I grew up with. Not necessarily grew up with. I mean, I grew up with like 80s rock, but when I'm talking about like growing into my music sense now, that's kind of where it really started, was with punk rock. And I absolutely enjoy Anti-Flag's music, though there's a lot of times where our politics don't necessarily line up in a way that, you know, sometimes I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum of them. Sometimes, you know, I'm like, I agree with you on this point, but not on this point kind of thing. However, I still absolutely love their style of punk rock music because it's raw and aggressive. But I'm considering not wearing the Anti-Flag shirt to the show. And the reason behind it is, you guys have heard me talk about this before. I swear that shirt is cursed. I swear the Anti-Flag shirt I bought at their show in Milwaukee is absolutely cursed, because I have worn it twice, 2 times since that show. that I bought it at, and I wore it to Riot Fest, and I wore it to see After the Burial and Motionless in White. When I wore it to Riot Fest during the story so far, a crowd surfer ended up falling and hitting me right in the eye with the sole of her boot, and I got a black eye off of it. So I'm like, man, I got injured on this one. But again, I had an absolute blast. But then again, when I went to go see After the Burial, Motionless in White, during After the Burial set right at the end of it, I got knocked down the mosh pit, and then as I was getting picked up, I got knocked down again because someone tripped and we went head-to-head contact, and I got that nice scar above my eye that just started bleeding profusely. And again, this is where I'm not sure to wear it, because I'm actually a little superstitious on this one, and nervous, because both times I've worn it, I've gotten hurt right by the eye, and I mean almost hit in the eye, cut above the eye. I've almost had to deal with all of this stuff, and I'm a little nervous because what happens if something worse happens? I'm not in Milwaukee at that point. I'm in Chicago. Sure, I'm close to Milwaukee, but the fact of the matter is I'm going to be driving down there, so I have to get myself back, and it's just me trying to get myself back. Granted, had I been in Milwaukee at that point, and that would happen, I would have much more resources and many more people to potentially call on to say, hey, I need your help because I can't see out of my left eye and I need someone to help drive me to the hospital. Or like I need to call an Uber and go to the hospital because I'm not calling for an ambulance, especially with how expensive ambulance rides are. I mean, my God, I think there was something where I was like, if it's more expensive to call 911 and take an ambulance to the hospital if nothing's wrong with you than to like call an Uber to take you to the ambulance and to get stitches. It's something like that. I can't remember where I read that though, but it's just an inordinate amount, and especially with I don't want to have to pay stuff on like that. I don't want to. Like, can my insurance cover that, please? But usually I take that out of your deductible. And now I'm starting to talk about, insurance stuff because that's kind of with my full-time job. I deal with health insurance data. So I really don't want to get into that. But I'm nervous because I don't want to have some sort of trip to a hospital or figure out how the hell I'm going to get home because I got blasted in the eye by, maybe a fist or someone else's head or a boot or something like that. I mean, I don't know, but I'm a little superstitious with it. However, I do have to note that the shows I wore it to were absolutely insanely awesome shows. I absolutely loved Riot Fest because that was probably the most energetic performance I've seen for Rise Against, and the crowd even echoed it even more so because, my God, I was dying out there. I mean, yeah, it was like 70 degrees outside at night in Chicago, so it's not too bad, not really humid at all, but just when you're packed into the pit and packed in with people pushing, shoving you, you're just sweating, you're just dying in there. But my God, was that one of the funnest shows I've ever been to, and probably the funnest Rise Against show I've ever been to. I mean, I've been to many, but that one topped the list in fun. I've got, the one, what I call my like redemption show, the show that changed my life forever kind of thing. I've got all of that stuff when I got to go see Rise Against, but this was probably the most fun one where I was at my most blissful, I would say. And then with Motionless in White After the Burial, just the sheer energy from that show between After the Burial and the crowd just kept it up, and then Motionless in White fed off of it and gave us one of the best shows of 2019. I mean, you take a look at the video I made for it when I talked about my top 5 favorite concerts of 2019. Both times when I wore the Anti-Flag shirt, they ended up number 2 and number 1. Number 2 going to Riot Fest. Number 1 going to Motionless in White and After the Burial. The one thing I might have to add in there is the most memorable out of those 3, though, is going to end up being when I saw Ice Nine Kills, because that just threw me right into the band, and I just absolutely am a huge fan now. I mean, it took one show, that was it. Even though I'd known about the band previously, I mean, it took one show and that was it. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go with the Anti-Flag shirt. We will see what happens, but yeah, you'll find out on Friday because you'll probably see a dumbass picture of me on Instagram. Moving on, because we're coming towards the end of the year, I've got a thing I want to talk about when it comes to new music. So we got plenty of new music coming out that's already slated for 2020, and I mean, I've got also, ones that, are teased to come out that we'll see if they actually come out. But I just want to go over the ones that we know are coming out. The ones that are going to hit hard and are going to happen. Oh, I didn't even notice this, but my computer's right here. So, yeah, this is my old computer. This thing is a freaking brick. There's a little foreshadowing on this computer, so what could that be? No, I can just chuck it over there. Alrighty, but take a look at the albums that are coming out. And the reason I wrote down the ones that are coming out is because there's a lot that are coming out, but I'm looking at the ones that when you go to our YouTube channel, like the couple days after these albums come out, yeah, I'm going to have the reviews on there as well. We'll talk about them on the podcast. So we're just going to go through them real quick one time. January 10th is the first date, and this one's going to be a real interesting one for me. And the reason is because the band is Apocalyptica, and this one is just instrumental. Now, granted, I like Apocalyptica when they have those featured vocalists, like the song "I Don't Care" with Adam Gontier in it. I actually really, really, really like that song. I mean, it's absolutely one of my favorites from them. And I'm very curious to see how that's going to end up turning out as well, because, we'll see what happens. We've got January 17th. I just mentioned them. Anti-Flag's coming out with their new album 2020 on that day. And yeah, of course I'm be reviewing it because I'm talking punk rock with you guys. What more could I want to do is then talk punk rock with you? Because I'm going to add more stuff into the show about that, because they're probably going to play Hate Conquers All at the show. We're going to see how that all turns out. And especially with it being 2020 being an election year and with what they're going for on that album, yeah, we'll see how that all turns out as well. January 24th is another kind of album that it's going to be interesting to do this one, because I'm going to treat it the same way like I treated, or if I would have had the YouTube video up at that point and would have been able to review it, the same way I would have treated the Ghost, oh, there goes my phone, the same way I would have treated the Ghost Note Symphonies by Rise Against, because they took a lot of their songs and made them acoustic, kind of reimagined them, and on Breaking Benjamin's album that's coming out on the 24th of January, they do the exact same thing. And they bring in some guest vocalists like Lacey Sturm and Adam Gontier, so I'm excited to see how that turns out as well. Let's go to January 31st, Theory of a Dead Man. I know a lot of people are like, oh no, I don't like Theory of a Dead Man, but I'm going to listen to it anyway. February 7th, Stone Temple Pilots. Again, we'll see what happens there. I haven't really listened to much of Stone Temple Pilots as recently, but we'll see how that all turns out. Valentine's Day. Ooh, I get to have two of these. Suicide Silence and one of my favorite bands of all time, Hollywood Undead. So we'll see how that all plays out. We'll see what happens here, but looks like I'm having a little bit of an issue here. So we're going to pause and be right back very soon. So stick with me, please. Sorry about that, guys. For you, it was probably just like a 1 second, 2 second thing. But for me, it took about, 5-6 minutes to kind of fix the issue. So now that we're back, let's keep going with the albums. February 28th, we get Five Finger Death Punch. And May 29th, we get Static X. So those are the ones we know right now. Yeah, May 29th. But I want to quickly discuss what I'm expecting from some of these. Which ones am I right now expecting to kind of come into the forefront and be rather surprising and good? Out of these, I really don't know. I'm just going to go through them one by one. With Apocalyptica, I have listened to the singles, and honestly, I'm expecting to be rather surprised with it. Even, yes, I know they don't have any vocalists. It's going to be a purely instrumental one called Cello, but oh man, I mean, it's Apocalyptica. They're always going to come out with this intense sounding music, so I'm expecting something rather good from the band. Anti-Flag, I am a little concerned with on this one. And where I'm a little concerned with on this one is I've taken a listen to the singles. I've liked some of them. I dislike some of them. But I'm just curious to see that if they're able to bring out that raw tenacity and not just focus in on the issue at hand that they're trying to talk about within the song. Again, you can really work off well with that, but I just don't want to see them go full on into one thing so much that they kind of forget about the music integrity. They didn't do that on Hate Conquers All, which I actually really liked. So we'll see how that all turns out, but I'm expecting actually, I'm kind of mixed right now on Anti-Flag. I'm not sure how they're going to end up coming out with that album. When it comes to Breaking Benjamin's album, I think it's called Aura or something like that. What I'm expecting in comparison to the Ghost Note Symphonies from Rise Against, just because that's, I think, what's the best comparison to it, I'm under the impression that when they go with these songs that are just Breaking Benjamin, I don't think they're going to be as powerful as what Rise Against did on the Ghost Note Symphonies. I just don't think they're going to end up hitting the same stride, because with what Rise Against did was they kind of reimagined what those songs sounded like, and they gave the songs a different sound, but still kind of had a different meaning to them as well, but they still hit just as hard, and they really never lost any musical integrity. I just don't think that Breaking Benjamin is going to end up pulling that off with those songs. However, the ones that feature Lacey Sturm and the ones that feature Adam Gontier, I think they easily have a chance to match that. So I'm expecting mixed reviews, but more positive ones for Breaking Benjamin. Now, Theory of a Dead Man, God, I have no idea what to expect from them. I know there's a lot of people that kind of think of them as like Nickelback light, but we'll see what happens on this one. If they kind of go more just flatline, I would say, well, I'm not going to be that big of a fan of that. But then again, we don't know what's going to happen there. So these are all speculation and speculatory. Stone Temple Pilots, I haven't really heard any of their stuff off of this one. So speculation-wise, we'll see what happens. Hollywood Undead. Now, I'm really concerned about this one. And the reason being is because when it comes to Hollywood Undead, I liked Undead. I liked American Tragedy a lot. Notes from the Underground is my favorite album by theirs. Day of the Dead got hard again. I'm like, oh man, this is good. But they kind of brought in some more pop tendencies. I'm like, oh, please don't do this. Please don't go pop tendencies on 5. And they did on 5, but they do have a couple of smoke show songs like California Dreamin' and We Own the Night. Now, we'll see what happens when they come out with this album, but I'm still a little more concerned they're going to go more pop tendency style. I want them to go back to more of that raw, anger-filled sound that they had. And sometimes, some of the funner stuff, too, like Everyone Knows Everywhere I Go. Everyone knows Coming in Hot. If they kind of bring in, like, one of those fun songs again, they can really kind of change up the whole entire feel of the whole entire album. We'll see how that goes. Suicide Silence, I have no idea what to expect. I'm just going to leave it at that. Same thing with Static X, but Five Finger Death Punch, I've seen a lot of people already be like, oh my god, this album's going to be terrible. Look, we got to listen to it first. Again, Injustice for None, the 7th album, a lot of people really didn't care for. We'll see if Ivan Moody pulls that off again, or if he goes in a different direction and ends up surprising us throughout the whole entire thing. Again, we don't know, but we'll see what happens. Other albums that it looks like we're potentially getting in 2020 to be on the lookout for, we know A Day to Remember is going to end up coming out with one. It's just a matter of when. This one I have a little bit higher expectations for just because they have delayed it, and we'll see how that turns out. Anthrax, Atreyu I'm not really looking for because they did come out with one in 2018. Avenged Sevenfold, Black Dahlia Murder. Evanescence, speculatory. Yeah, I'm expecting Evanescence to come out hard on this one and come out well. Fozzy, In This Moment. Oh, man, In This Moment. I've got a feeling this is going to be a huge disappointment. But then again, they got to prove me wrong on that one. What Black Veil Brides is doing, I mean, they already kind of released the first 2 songs off of what would be their next album, and you guys have seen on their year-end nominees, absolutely dislike The Vengeance. Disliked them. I'm going to tell you why. It's just a very flatline song where it just kind of stays here and it just doesn't venture out anywhere. But in reverse, Saints of the Blood is one of my favorite songs from the year, and it's my favorite Black Veil Bride song at this point because it goes through so much and explores so many different territories very well. So that's what I'm looking forward to that one. Lamb of God, Megadeth, Metallica also on here. The solo album from Mick Mars, guitarist of Motley Crue. We'll see if he comes out with that. Ozzy, Rob Zombie, Seether, Seven Dust, if 3 Days Grace comes out with one, and Trivium. Other one for me looking out is if Rise Against is going to be able to drop one in 2020. I know they're working on new music right now. I actually don't expect them to drop it in 2020. I'm expecting them to drop it in 2021 because I'm assuming this is going to be a calculated move by the band. And the reason why I think it's going to be a calculated move is because of what they did with Wolves, because they ended up writing Wolves during the Trump election process, and I actually really liked how Wolves turned out. It's my second favorite album by the band, only behind The Sufferer and The Witness, which came out in 2006. So with that political election cycle coming again and them writing music about it, and them starting in 2019, May of 2019, there is much more for them to cover. And they said there's not a timeline on this one. It's going to come out. It's going to come out when it's ready. And again, we haven't heard anything about it since, so I'm expecting maybe a late 2020 release from Rise Against or a 2021 release from Rise Against, but if they don't, then I'll be talking in 2021 like, yeah, I'm expecting these guys to come out big. But right now I'm like, I can't really speak on it because I don't know what they're thinking. I wish I did, though. I wish I could get to talk to Tim. Hopefully we can do that in 2020. Because that would be like my dream come true interview, is to interview Tim McElrath of Rise Against. Plus, I got like 10 people on the list of like definitely want to interview at some point. And my top 10 list now, when Tim McElrath's up there, number 1. David Draymond of Disturbed. Jared Leto of 30 Seconds to Mars. Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters. Gary Vaynerchuk, I have him at number 5 on the list. That's a calculated reason why I have him at number 5. And if you guys know who Gary Vaynerchuk is and listen to his stuff, you know I have him at number 5. Chris Motionless is also up there, Motionless in White. Adam Gontier I have up there. Spencer Charnas of Ice Nine Kills. I have Andy Biersack up there as well, along with Ronnie Radke. Again, I feel like I got to get some of those, more potentially controversial ones in there. I also have John Cooper and Jen Ledger and Corey Cooper as all of Skillet on there as well. They're all on my list of people I want to talk to and interview at some point and just, have a good conversation with them. But because I saw something very interesting from Skillet and mentioned them just now, I have to talk about it. So let's go forward and go through this. So apparently someone has been stalking Skillet, which is not good. I'll put it that way. This ain't good. So I looked and I saw that the YouTube channel Rock Feed actually talked about this. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. Let's see what happens here. And I do like Rock Feed's videos, but then I saw a article that was put in a Reddit feed, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of really similar to what they're saying on the video. So maybe they just read it word for word. I don't know, but I'm glad I got to see it. So apparently there's a 28-year-old woman from Washington that has been stalking Skillet this past year. And they've said they've been threatened by her. So their lawyers filed a restraining order and ended up winning. So this restraining order is going to try and keep this woman away from the band members in their upcoming concerts. But why did Skillet have to file a restraining order? So Skillet's attorney did not reach out to this, I think it's called the Life Doc or ncwlife.com. So they reached out to their attorney for comment, never returned. But the documents he filed in Chelan County Court say that over the past 2 years, and I keep getting messages, man. Over the past 2 years, that this 20-year-old woman has expressed desires to commit a mass shooting at a Skillet concert. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but let me give you some more details. This woman allegedly follows the band to concerts and public appearances all throughout the country over the past years. And this past March, she delivered a very disturbing note in person to a member of the band's crew. And a police report says that in the same month, she snuck into a Skillet concert in Saginaw, Michigan. And this is after her ticket was revoked over security concerns, basically because of that note. So there, the woman's name has not been put out there because she has not been charged criminally, so no one knows who she exactly is. The temporary restraining order was signed by Judge Kyle Mott, and it forbids her from approaching any venue where Skillet is performing, where they're recording, where they're rehearsing, or where they might be appearing until the court hearing. Actually, now it says next week, but that'd be this week, so this week. The band wants to extend this prohibition for more than a year, and I don't blame them because you've got to look out for the best interests of your fans at these live shows. And if there's going to be someone slipping a note to one of your crew members saying, I'm going to commit a mass shooting, that is very serious. Now, what really kind of concerns me about this too is, and we've seen it throughout history as well, where people are very fanatical about certain things, where they travel across country to follow these different bands or groups or people. And then they kind of can get fanatical at one point and then just, essentially like this, go crazy. So I'm concerned about that, but I'm happy of the precautions that Skillet is taking on this one. Filing a restraining order, absolutely love the move, and it's temporary, and I actually like that as well because who knows, maybe this woman might, end up changing her attitude, and then it could be a potentially great story. But then again, you never know what might happen. But again, the most paramount thing is the safety of the band and the safety of the band's fans, because I will be going to see Skillet live in January, and you don't want to have to think about something like this or fear something like this, especially with the fact that Skillet is just ending their Victorious tour over in Europe, and they're going to be doing a tour in the U.S. at the beginning of 2020 in spring. And I don't want to see something happen to this band because this band is one of my favorites. They creeped into my top 10. I listen to them all the time, and it's not just the fact that, I like their sound, and they have a lot of tracks that are very uplifting and also hopeful, especially on Victorious. A lot of those tracks are hopeful. And as I've talked about them since Comatose came out, and as they've gone forward, they've taken a lot of those overtly Christian themes and kind of made them more abstract in their music, which I really do like because I never had a big thing with Christian rock music, but I absolutely love Skillet as well, and it's all based upon the sound, how they write their songs, and how those songs end up making you feel at the end of the day. So again, hope nothing bad happens to Skillet because I really like Skillet. I love their music. So I want to make sure they keep making music as well. But I hope this woman also gets the help she needs. Now, honestly, guys, that's actually all I got for you. The reason being is because not really much happened this week outside of that stuff. You've seen a lot of lists coming out of the top 10. Oh! that reminds me. I got to speak about this because I'm not affected by it yet, but I very well could be at some point in the future. And this goes to John from ARTV. So you guys know ARTV if you probably follow us. Another album, one of the original album review sites, or I would say not necessarily sites, but pages on YouTube. And this guy, I mean, he's got over 130,000 subscribers, but I saw a video of his Thursday night, where he talked about how a lot of his videos are, the money is being stripped away from them and given over to the record companies because they're manually filing copyright claims, even though he has all the licensing to do this stuff, and he is using less than 5 seconds clips on his YouTube videos of certain songs, which is perfectly fine under the Fair Use Act. And YouTube is just like at the mercy of these recording companies and these record companies. And John really can't do anything about it because every time he appeals, he gets a quick response saying your appeal has been denied. And where I'm concerned about this is because with a growing Instagram page, with a growing YouTube channel, what the hell might happen to me? I mean, I won't have to go through some of this stuff. I might, you never know. So I'm following close this. I'm very much supporting John of ARTV because this is not something where we're trying to you're trying to steal music or anything. You're not trying to make it your own or anything. You're trying to talk about it. You're trying to critique it. You're trying to get behind it. And if you're going to try and do that stuff and expose the genre, expose the band to more people, I mean, why wouldn't you want that? I'll even talk about this. Taking a look at some of the stuff that we've done, I've gotten support from other bands as well on it. I've gotten support from Anti-Flag whenever I post something regarding them. And I mean, I always end up at, like, the ones I post them, it's always the Song of the Day posts, the concert posts, and I even asked the question, who do you like more, Anti-Flag or Pennywise? And they said, well, why can't we have both? And I was like, oh, yeah, you can have both. I see Chris number 2 all the time liking their stuff, and I absolutely love it. I've seen other bands like our stuff as well. And even when Instagram's like, oh, my God, you might, unless you have licensing for this, you can't use it. I'm like, yeah, I do. The band usually, like AFI, they liked it. They liked what I did. I'm getting a lot of support off of this, too. So it's like, I don't want to stop because it keeps bringing more people into the genre, and it just keeps increasing everything that we do. So I'm absolutely a huge fan of it, and I don't want to see John, struggle this much because ARTV is one of the pioneers when it comes to those an album review and rock music community on the internet. I mean, I'm trying to see if we can do some things in a different way on my end, but in the end, I mean, I want to support him as well. And then not only that, but like pages like Rocked as well. I want to support them as well because the sole purpose that we're trying to do is we're trying to expose you guys to music that, we like, and we're not going to try and force it down your throats. I mean, well, we're not going to say, like, you have to listen to this or not. It's like, if you don't want to listen, you don't want to follow it, you don't have to. I mean, it's totally fine. If we post them, you're like, oh, this sucks, and we ask you a question, we don't want to, we're not trying to say, oh, your opinion stinks. It's like, we just want to know why your opinion is that way. We just want to know the reasoning behind it. But in the end, I'm going to do whatever I can to support these guys because we're not trying to take money away from bands. What we're trying to do is we're trying to grow the genre so that these bands can have their music heard by many more people and have it liked by many more people. That's pretty much what we're going for on this page. That's what I know a lot of those other people are going for. And on that note, I am going to call it for this podcast because, well, I've had some technical ifs. I had 2 so far. I had the first one, then I had the second one. Well, the first one was something weird with the video that was going on, and the second one was something weird with the audio, where the audio just stopped, so I had to redo that. So, oh well, we're going to go forward on this one, and that's actually going to be it for me today. So, please mark your calendars for December 23rd, 2019, because I've got a very special podcast coming out for you guys right before Christmas. Don't worry, I'm still doing a Tuesday one for Christmas Eve as well. It's going to be another special Christmas podcast, so that we're going to have some fun there. But on that note, guys, thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by My Song Day Rock 2000 Day. You know who I am. My name's Kevin, and you guys know how I end all these podcasts or videos or whatever you're watching with all this stuff. You guys know it's a big ol' see ya!